And so if you think about America as a country founded on a set of ideals that brought together a divided, in many ways, diverse group of people 250 years ago, it's a nation founded on the essence of what actually makes us distinctively human. And so
You serious? The Lincolnian vision that they have is destructive to the original founding, not supportive of it. That the United States is not a proposition nation in any way whatsoever. In fact, the founders weren't really committed to that phrase, all men are created equal, at all. They weren't committed to it in any way. And what they meant by it, as I mentioned in the piece that I wrote for the Chronicles magazine, which is a great magazine. If you don't subscribe, I would subscribe to that magazine. But is that, and I used Hamilton and Adams, John Adams, to define it, essentially political equality among citizens. So once you're a citizen, you have that. I think Elmer's, by saying that these people that are not supportive of MAGA are not American citizens anymore, M-A-G-A, MAGA, are not American citizens anymore, I think that's a faulty analysis. What he doesn't recognize is that there's always been dispute among citizens in the United States because there are cultural differences among all these people. There's never been one American people or one American nation. As John Taylor of Caroline said, that would be like utopia for utopians, right? So we don't have that. And I think David Hackett Fisher's book, Albion Seed, I go back to it a lot, published in the late 90s, just a tremendous book because he clearly shows this. There are certain cultural divisions in America that will never go away as long as these things are passed down. And I think what Trump was able to capitalize on was some of these cultural tendencies in America, particularly in the heartland. What Elmer's is rightly pointing out, the heartland, that's populist country. That's Jeffersonian country more than anything else. And when you look at who populated those areas, it makes sense culturally. And so what I want to do today is talk about David Hackett Fisher and Albion Seed. I'm going to go to the very end of the book, to the last little bit of the conclusion. This is nearly a 900-page book. It's a monster, but you need to get it. David Hackett Fisher's Albion Seed. I talk about it a lot at McClanahan Academy in several of the courses. I've mentioned on this show before, but I want to go to the last little bit of the book and read some of this because I think if we understand the cultural differences, then the Federal Republic makes sense. The idea that you had a central government, a general government for general purposes only. I can't say this enough. Commerce and defense, that was it. And everything else was left to the states. This is exactly how it was sold to the states during ratification and how we should adhere to the Constitution today. Nothing has changed that. Not even the 14th Amendment. Nothing has changed that. What we still have is a federal republic. And if we actually just adhered to that, I think you'd see a lot more peace and stability in the United States. But the problem is you got people like Glenn Elmer saying, well, no, we need to have a Lincolnian revolution. One people. We got these 75 million people that are a nation. You got these other people are a nation. Well, how about within those 75 million people? Don't think there's differences there? That maybe we could look at, maybe a confederacy from those people and a confederacy another way would work. But the real problem is that we do have a situation. We have incompatible things. Governor Morris pointed this out during the Philadelphia Convention. When he said, look, if we've got incompatible things now, let's just separate. But if we don't, let's stay together. But I think that the point was there were people that recognized in 1787 and 1788 that we had incompatible things. In Massachusetts, in Connecticut, in South Carolina, they recognized it. In Virginia, they talked about it. In New York. If we actually have these things, let's not force this union because it's going to create civil war eventually. And that's what it did. And we had those things culturally. We still have those things. So the best thing we could do is keep a federal republic. I think a union is not a bad idea for defense. If you had 50 separate states, you would have some problems, I think, overall that could be solved by having a loose union of these states with the power to enforce when it comes to defense or to enforce a free trade zone between the states, but not all the regulatory power and everything else. For example,